At 88, Dyan Cannon just made a confession that has Hollywood stunned. The legendary actress casually revealed she has several friends with benefits and goes on multiple dates each week. But that's not even the shocking part. In 2025, she was caught lying to the Secret Service about her real age. She listed 1950 instead of 1937 on her passport to feel younger. When they found out, she was interrogated for 45 minutes. Now people are wondering what else she's been hiding all these years. Dyan Cannon was born on January 4, 1937, in Tacoma, Washington. Her real name was Samuel Dyan Falzon. She grew up in a quiet home filled with deep contrasts. Her mother, Claire Portoy, was a Jewish immigrant from Ukraine who had escaped terrible violence. Her father, Ben Finn, was a Mennonite man from Canada who sold life insurance. They didn't have much money, but they tried their best. Her mother had lost a grandmother during the Russian Revolution, a horrifying memory that Dyan would never forget. That pain stayed in the family. Growing up, Dyan faced cruel bullying at school because of her Jewish background and her darker features. People mocked her looks and called her names. But even as a child, she had a spark. By the time she was 5, she was already performing in local plays. Her mom would sew her costumes, and her dad worked hard to support the family. Dyan had a stutter that made school even harder, especially when she had to speak in front of the class. But in her bedroom, she would practice alone. Dreaming of escaping to Hollywood. When she was just 13, something surprising happened. In 1950, she won the Miss West Seattle Beauty Contest. It came with a small cash prize and a fake rhinestone crown. But to her, it meant the world. Even though people whispered behind her back, saying she looked too ethnic, she stood tall and proud. She earned her first modeling jobs soon after, posing for Sears catalogs in 1951. She made $5 an hour and used that money for dance lessons. She practiced tap dancing every day for hours. But even then, the insults didn't stop. Some kids vandalized her contest sash with hate symbols. It was cruel. Still, she kept going. Her dark curly hair and olive skin didn't match the blonde image everyone wanted, so she was rejected often. But that just made her stronger. She joined West Seattle High School in 1951 and quickly became the star of the drama club. She played Emily Webb in Our Town in 1953, and the school paper gave her glowing reviews. But she was still secretly fighting that old stutter which had been with her since she was 4. In 1952, during a class report, she froze, and classmates laughed. That night, she cried, then promised herself she would never let that happen again. She began taking weekly voice lessons for $2 a session. She practiced for hours every night, working on tongue twisters and breathing exercises. She even directed plays by her junior year. At the same time, hateful symbols appeared on her locker. And still, she kept going. Her acting got better, and she won Best Actress awards 3 years in a row. She graduated in 1955 with a GPA of 3.2. Her grades in the arts were strong, and it was clear she was born for something bigger. In 1957, when she turned 20, she left Tacoma and moved to Los Angeles. She had only $100 in her pocket and slept on her cousin's couch. A producer told her she needed a new name for Hollywood, so she changed it to Dyan Cannon. She got a job modeling dresses in a department store for $75 a week. She auditioned constantly, but was rejected dozens of times because she didn't look like the typical Hollywood blonde. She shared a small apartment with 3 other actresses and sometimes could only afford 1 meal a day. She tried taking classes at UCLA but left after 1 semester to focus on acting full. She studied under Sanford Meisner and paid $10 a week for lessons. During this time, she got engaged to a nightclub owner named Sunoni, but she realized it was a mistake and ended it. She once ran from an audition after it turned creepy. It was a hard life, but she never gave up. In that same year, she got her first break as a nightclub singer. She performed jazz songs at a small place called The Losers, making $50 a night. She sang songs by Ella Fitzgerald and even some originals. People noticed her voice, but not everyone was kind. Patrons made inappropriate comments, and some agents told her she looked too foreign for lead roles. She refused to play villains or stereotypical characters. She was offered 20 roles like that, but turned them all down. Sometimes she barely had enough to eat. She modeled on the side and earned $200 a month, just enough to survive, but the pain built her armor. In 19, she finally landed small roles on TV, including an episode of Batmaster. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was getting noticed. Her first screen role came in 1958, though she didn't get credit for it. She played a waitress in an episode of Have Gun Will Travel and had only 2 lines, but she was grateful for that chance. She was just 21 and had worked so hard to get there. That same year, she got a few more guest roles, including a character named Nicole McCready in Wanted, Dead or Alive, and Mary Lowry in another Bat Masterson episode. These roles showed she could act, not just smile, but she had to keep turning down offers that wanted her to take off her clothes or act in sleazy parts. She didn't want to be seen that way. She wanted to be respected. In 1960, Dyan got her first real movie role in The Rise and Fall of Legs Diamond. She played Dixie, a gangster's girlfriend. She was just 23, and the film made over $1 million. But the part was seductive and dangerous. And while people praised her, it also made directors typecast her. She kept getting offers to play the same kind of roles. She said no. She once lived on just $10 for an entire week while crashing on friends' couches. One co-star even made an inappropriate advance during filming. She threatened to quit. She appeared in other shows like Hawaiian Eye and Tombstone Territory. But the pay was still low, and the respect she deserved wasn't coming fast enough. Between 1960 and 1962, she turned down over 20 roles that would have paid her $5,000 each. Instead, she chose to appear in TV shows like Bat Masterson and RIPCORD. In 1961, during the filming of Ripcord, she almost got seriously injured while doing a helicopter stunt. She kept saying no to directors who wanted to take advantage of her, including one who asked her to audition in a hotel room. She borrowed money from family, ate ramen noodles, and studied acting whenever she could. In 1962, she signed with Warner Brothers, which sounded like a dream come true, but she was stuck playing background characters who smiled and said lines like, "Hello, handsome." She made just $300 a week, while male actors made thousands. By 1964, she decided to take a break. She went to New York and studied acting under Sanford Meisner. She took 5-hour classes every day, cried through the exercises, and found new depth in her performances. That same year, she turned down a $10,000 role in a risque movie. She didn't want to be typecast forever. She waited tables to get by. Once she served coffee to a producer who had rejected her, but the struggle made her stronger. In 1963, she joined the national tour of the Broadway show, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. She played Rosemary and did over 100 shows in 20 cities. People loved her timing and charm, but things backstage weren't always friendly. Some co-stars spread ugly rumors about her. One time, someone even sabotaged her costume during a show, causing an embarrassing wardrobe accident in front of a huge audience. Still, she kept going. She earned $400 a week, more than she ever had. By the end of 1964, Hollywood started calling again. Her hard work was finally being noticed. Then, in 1969, everything changed. Dyan Cannon starred in Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice. She played Alice, a woman exploring love and relationships in a way no one had dared show on screen before. It was bold, funny, and deeply emotional. The film made $30 million at the box office. It was a huge hit. At age 32, Dyan was nominated for a Golden Globe and even an Oscar. She had finally made it, but the role's themes of infidelity and group therapy mirrored her own struggles. That same year, she divorced Cary Grant. It was a painful time, but her acting made the world see her differently. In 1971, she starred in The Love Machine. She played Judith Austin, a model who seduced and betrayed her way through Hollywood's dark corners. The film was full of adult themes and graphic scenes, and Dyan wasn't afraid to show the ugly side of fame. The movie made over $10 million. That same year, she starred in Such Good Friends, playing a wife who finds out her husband had many affairs. It was a raw and emotional role. She used method acting and pushed herself so far emotionally that she broke down on set. The film caused a stir, but critics loved her. She was nominated for another Golden Globe in 1972. Also in 1971, she went international with The Burglars, filming dangerous scenes in Greece with Jean-Paul Belmondo and Omar Sharif. She did many of her own stunts and even rolled down a rocky hillside for one scene. She was briefly hospitalized after one accident. The film made $15 million and proved she could handle action just as well as drama. She had come a long way from the scared girl in Tacoma with a stutter and big dreams. Dyan Cannon's rise in the 1970s wasn't quiet. In 1978, she played Julia Farnsworth in Heaven Can Wait, a woman so cold she poisons her husband in a twisted plan for money. That role earned her an Oscar nomination and made her the talk of Hollywood. The movie itself was a surprise hit, making nearly $99 million on just a $6 million budget. It got 9 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. Some critics mocked Dyan's performance as being over the top, but it didn't matter. She won a Golden Globe and a Saturn Award anyway. That wasn't even her first Oscar nod. Back in 1969, she had already turned heads in Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice, where she blended comedy and betrayal in a way that few actresses could. By the late 70s, she wasn't just surviving in Hollywood, she was rewriting the rules. She became the first woman ever nominated for both acting and producing at the Oscars, something no one saw coming. 2 years earlier in 1976, she had stunned the industry with a short film called Number One. She didn't just star in it. She wrote it, directed it, produced it, edited it, and even created the score. It was a deeply personal story about children discovering their bodies and how adults react. Some people were outraged. The scenes were raw, sometimes uncomfortable, but they came from her own childhood memories. Critics praised her for being brave. Others called it too explicit, but she had made her point, and she had made history. That same year, while most actresses were waiting for scripts, Dyan was creating her own stories and forcing Hollywood to watch. Behind her strength on screen was real pain. In 1990, she finally told part of that story in her directorial debut, The End of Innocence. It was a film she had been thinking about since the 1970s, during a time when her life had fallen apart. After divorcing Cary Grant in 1968, her mental health spiraled. The movie told the story of a woman struggling with addiction, bad relationships, and a desire to be perfect. The opening scene was strange and unforgettable, a point of view shot from inside the womb. What followed was a raw story of breakdowns, therapy, and the need to find self. She cast herself in the lead alongside Rebecca Schaeffer, who played the younger version of her character. Schaeffer was tragically killed shortly after the movie. It was Dyan's most personal work yet, filled with symbols like a dream horse and ice cream binges. Some critics called it overtop, but others saw the courage in putting her own story on the screen. Even before that, in 1973, she starred alongside Burt Reynolds in Seamus. The movie was a detective thriller mixed with sex and violence. On set, things got tense. Reynolds was at the peak of his fame and known for being unpredictable. Rumors spread that the two stars had clashed, argued, and maybe even had an affair. One scene had Dyan on a pool table in a seductive moment that blurred the line between character and real life. Reynolds was known to be aggressive, even shoving an actor's face in garbage to make a scene look real. The movie made modest money, and critics noticed Dyan's presence as both sensual and sharp. But what people remembered more was the tension behind the scenes and how it exposed just how toxic those sets could be back then. Also in 1978, she joined Revenge of the Pink Panther as Simone Larie, a playful and sexy character wrapped up in slapstick comedy with Peter Sears. But filming was hard. Sellers was dealing with serious mental health issues and had already suffered heart attacks in 1964. He banned the color purple on set and followed a psychic's advice more than the director's. During filming in 1977, his health got worse, and even though he died later in 1980, the chaos during the shoot was unforgettable. Dyan managed to shine in scenes like a wild costume shop moment with Harvey Korman, but the whole cast could feel the danger in the air. Sellers' unpredictability left them shaken, and the film became one of his last before his death, at just 54. In 1984, Dyan made a move to television, taking on the powerful role of Kate Blackwell in the miniseries Master of the Game. The story followed a woman who built a diamond empire starting in 1890s South Africa. Her character survived betrayals, a father's suicide, and even ordered a murder to protect family secrets. The series was 9 hours long and filled with dark plot twists, including incest, hidden twins, and shocking deaths. One scene showed a man being electrocuted in a diamond mine. Another showed forced sterilizations in the 1920s. It was unlike anything Dyan had done before. Over 20 million people watched each episode. She earned a Golden Globe nomination and proved she could dominate TV just like film. Later in the 1990s, she brought her sharp wit to Ally McKeel, where she played a wild judge named Whippercon. In one episode, a woman sued her ex for stealing her orgasm technique. In another, Cannon ripped a man's tooth off in court to prove he was faking distress. The character was bold, funny, and completely unfiltered. It was a big shift from her dramatic roles, and fans loved her for it. The courtroom scenes reminded people of Dyan's own real-life confidence. She had divorced Cary Grant in 1968, a man 33 years older than her, and dealt with public judgment ever since. This role gave her a way to turn that history into humor. In 1987, she starred in a made-for-TV movie called Beverly Hills Family Robinson. It was a modern twist on the old story about a family stranded on an island. Dyan played the glamorous mother who had to learn how to survive with palm leaf dresses and caviar tin furniture. The movie had unexpected dark moments, like when they found human bones in a cave and feared cannibals. There was also a scene where she sucked venom out of a snake bite, drawing from real survival stories. It was meant to be a family film, but some scenes pushed the edge of what was considered PG. That same year, she returned to drama in Diagnosis Murder, playing Iris Mason, a mysterious woman involved in romance and crime. One episode showed her surviving a poisoning during a gala, only to uncover a $10 million insurance scam. Another had her faking amnesia after a car crash linked to mob activity. These episodes pulled from her old thriller roots, but mixed in humor and emotion. The show drew over 12 million viewers and earned a People's Choice nomination in 1998. Dyan's work behind the scenes was just as bold. When she directed The End of Innocence in 1990, she fought hard for creative control. She had seen too much during her time in real psychiatric facilities in the 1960s. She even went undercover to visit 12 more in the 1980s, documenting abuse and neglect. Some of those scenes made it into the film, including brutal electroshock sequences that mirrored real lawsuits in California. She faced pushback from studios, but secured a $5 million budget. The film sparked controversy, but also led to actual investigations. Her honesty made people uncomfortable, but it also opened eyes. People uncomfortable, but it also opened eyes. In 1998, she produced A Kiss at Twilight, a sultry period drama filled with scandals. Inspired by real-life affairs from the 1800s, she included scenes of opium-fueled love, a poisoned kiss, and a dramatic duel. The movie aired on Lifetime and drew over 4 million viewers, but it also triggered more than 1,000 complaints. Dyan later admitted she added some of her own romantic memories into the script, including secrets from her time with Cary Grant. In 2000, she produced Caddy Woodlawn, a family film based on an old novel. But behind the scenes, it was chaos. Budget cuts, long hours, and child labor law violations almost ruined the production. She took over editing herself and added violent historical scenes that hadn't been in the original script. The film eventually aired on Disney Channel, attracting over 3 million viewers. But her strict control over the crew became legendary. During her guest role on HBO's Arlie Tollins, she tackled stories based on real scandals in the sports and entertainment world. One episode showed her character bribing a producer with $500,000. Mirroring real kickback schemes from the 1990s, she added her own lines about being underpaid during her early career, revealing she once made 60% less than her male These scenes pushed the show into controversial territory, but they also told truths Hollywood preferred to hide. In 2017, Dyan Cannon stepped into a quiet but powerful role as a horse trainer named Linda in the indie film Hope's Legacy. On the surface, it seemed like just another heartfelt movie about second chances. But what happened behind the scenes and what the story mirrored was far more disturbing. The film came at a time when the horse world was still reeling from real-life abuse scandals, especially the 2015 Tennessee walking horse investigations, where over 700 violations were documented by the USDA. Some trainers were using illegal pain-inducing methods like soring, and that led to federal raids. In Hope's Legacy, Dion's character discovers something horrifying. Horses are being poisoned with tainted feed, and there's an underground betting ring making money off their suffering. This was eerily close to the real 2012 case where trainer Jackie McConnell was convicted after